Peace, peace. What's good? Welcome back to Urban X TV. We host. I'm Malcolm. This is the artist formerly known as the Black Dot. What's good?
What's good? This is Popcast number.
I don't
I
know.
forget what number it is. Start number in the Popcast.
All right.
Uh, with this one.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna make a whole like playlist for all of them, so y'all can catch up. But it's Sunday. We're doing a emergency podcast. As yesterday, there was a lot of happenings in the political world. As yesterday, it appeared as former President Donald Trump survived an assassination attempt at his rally in PA. Now, when
Mm.
I first saw this, I was just kind of like, come on. And then, obviously all the details came out surrounding it as a result. But what were your initial thoughts on it?
My initial thoughts was it's showtime. My initial thoughts was this is a propaganda. This is a psyop. This is all of the things that we talked about would happen between now that the Jason months are here: January,
Mm-hmm.
July, August, September, October, and November.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't know what the Jason months are, which lead up to the election, that these things would start to accelerate, and right on cue,
Yeah.
the shit show begins.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's interesting about this, and I mentioned this before on Twitter, is that like this kind of like this was a bold move by whoever it was because it kind of boxes everybody else in. Okay, so the discussion around Biden the past 2-3 weeks was that he's old, he's feeble, and that's been the conversation like everywhere. Even Democratic left leaning publications have been going in on his age. Trump, quote unquote, surviving an assassination attempt, getting his ear shot or shrapnel, like, a fragment hitting his ear or whatever, and him getting up, raising his fist, looking tough and resilient, right? So that's, a point to him, a point again, and then a point away from Biden, right? He already looks old. He looks tough, right? Then obviously he is a Republican, so the opposite party is going to get blamed for it, for being radical. And Democrats are not known historically for being the radical ones. It's the Republicans and right leaning who are known for kind of being radical and crazy and stuff like that, and extremists and stuff like that. So that's another thing, right? So it's another point towards Republicans and away from Democrats. And then his political opponents, because they don't want to seem insensitive and heartless, because somebody died, somebody did die, and I think 2 other people got shot as a result. They can't come out and say nothing crazy like this was a psyop, or they can't say, "Damn, he should have got hit." They can't say anything like that either. So they kind of have to denounce all violence and say, I'm glad Trump was okay, right? Even though they just been calling him Hitler the past 5 years.
Right.
So it's a really really interesting time, and I've always said that there's like 3 or 4 different things that's happening under the one big thing that we're watching.
I agree. And what I want to add to that is this. Um, we are now in a time, and it's very evident that the results of such a psyop used to take maybe months and years to get the results of how effective it is.
Mm-hmm.
In this social media era, that has changed because the algorithms are given instant information on do the people believe this,
Yeah.
how many people feel sorry, how many people are right. And so 50,000, let's just say, throw a number out there, if you have 100,000 people saying this is fake, this is a setup in any capacity,
Yeah.
that has provided instant information. Now, I'm going to take you back to 2001, right? When the World Trade Centers went down, if you were against anything patriotic at
Yeah.
that time, you stood out like a sore thumb because there was no social media, not to this capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had to go on one of the major platforms to voice your concerns about what you were seeing. And if you did that, you stuck out like a sore thumb and you were able to be sort of dealt with.
Yeah.
This time around, instantaneously, I learned a lot of things. A lot of people are not taken to the programming. Even when you see all these memes come about, it also suggests that people don't care, or they are trivializing something so life changing in this country from a political standpoint.
Yeah.
And it's all information. And it's all information that's important to know how to move forward. We spoke about supercomputers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being able to give them data to know what the scenario would be in such a situation. And so, just like I said, if there was an alien invasion and brothers got their camera up, you know what I'm saying, making fun of the situation, it tells them just how much of a knuckle dragger we are,
Mm-hmm.
or how much above the fray that we are, because none of that stuff really matters. And we know it's a game, even if it's in the subconscious mind. And all of that is still valuable information. Now, also in this social media era, everyone is a detective and everyone has equal access to as much information as possible. My elders have always taught me, get to the news before all of their stories are aligned. So during 9/11, I kept flipping the channel,
Mm-hmm.
even the BBC. And the BBC had Building 7 still in the background
Mm-hmm.
when the reporter is saying the two buildings went down plus Building 7.
Yeah.
And I said, ha ha, what the hell is that?
Right.
I listened to all the firefighters, the first ones coming out saying the ground floor was blown out already. The basement was blown out when we got there. I listened to people, the first so-called survivors, who said the FBI has been down here all week long. So all of those things, before they got the stories aligned and introduced into your lexicon, that we had an open enemy named Bin Laden,
Yep.
right? And so the same thing applies here. I've been hearing a lot of stories, and we'll get to it as we unpeel different pieces of this. But I'm watching the people on the timeline decode things and say, that doesn't make sense. And this doesn't make sense. So we are in a new time, a new epoch, should I say, where these events have to be executed with such precision, or the people are just not buying it.
So absolutely, absolutely. And what I saw, and it's funny because now obviously there's a large amount on the timeline, large amount of black people who hate Trump, afraid of Trump, stuff like that. And they're the ones immediately pointing out, how this is a psyop, how this could be staged. But these are the same people who lined up for a COVID thing when that was happening. So it's very convenient at what y'all could tell is a psyop and what y'all can't tell. So that's what I say, right? But two, I think it's funny how um both sides now can understand what is happening to them when it's happening on the other side. Prime example, they're starting to see that the media, everything, the time, like the algorithms are completely flipped on Biden, and they're not on Trump's side, but they're clearly against Biden, right?
Right.
Even Facebook and Instagram are reinstating Trump's profiles so he can get back on and start to do what he needs to do as far as his campaigning, right? And then now Biden supporters are like, yo, it feels like everybody just got the word that we're going against Biden. I'm like, yeah, that happened. That's been happening, but you were
Mm-hmm.
just on the other side of it, right?
Yes.
So now that people are on the other side of this Trump thing, they kind of just seeing like what's going on. Now it feels like more people are just hyper aware of these things in the games that can be played. Now, to your point of everything has to be handled with such precision. Now, in the days of political correctness, um, like just how people feel and stuff like that, those kind of are ways to build in shields against the doubt. Because as I mentioned before, if you say something like this is a psyop, boom, 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 and people go, well, somebody died. And as you always say, real people can die in fake movies, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
Amanda Seals, I gave she's one person. Ebro from Hot 97, he's another person. They came out immediately and said this is fake, this is staged, and stuff like that. But they're paid by the system, right? So they have very public facing jobs, and you can't say that. They can't say that. We could come up in here and say that, but you can't
Right,
say that, and they'll make you pay for that. They'll either make you apologize or they'll fire you because somebody died.
right.
Right. So that's the fascinating part to me. It's like so many different parts of this that I'm sure that was mapped out. Right. Somebody had to
Yes.
die in this. Some people really had to get hurt for this to go through.
Well, again, I'm going to say what I always say, what you just said. Real people can die in a fake movie. We have a tendency to think if it's a psyop that it's fake blood everywhere. Not necessarily. How else can you convince people and these people become collateral damage,
Yeah.
right? And then who's to say that the person who was hit wasn't somebody that they needed to get rid of anyway? Two
Mhm.
birds for one stone. Let's unpeel the basics so that people don't get lost in the emotion of it, because
Perfect.
emotion plays a major part of this. When you're emotional about anything, you suspend your common sense, right? You go into common sense bypass,
Hmm.
basically, right? I hate Trump. Yeah, that's whatever, they should have got him. Or oh, that's just fake because he's looking to garner whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Secret Service, this is their job. Their job is to show up sometimes 2 weeks in advance, a week
Hmm.
in advance. And their number one job is to see from which and every angle a possible threat could take place,
Yeah.
and then to neutralize it. This is Secret Service 101.
Yeah.
This ain't even advanced Secret Service with somebody in the crowd posing as a reporter may get. No, no, this is our job is to show up, look at open windows, knock on people's doors if we
Hmm.
have to. Sir, can we put somebody here? It's in best interest of this, whatever the case may be. So you mean to tell me somebody was able to get up 400 yards out in the wide open
Yeah. I think it was closer than
and
that.
yeah, even closer than that. I'm just giving the benefit of the doubt
Yeah.
and let off 4 or 5 shots, right? Before they were identified where the shots was coming from, and a sharpshooter sniper was able to take them down. Now, I told you you have to listen to other news sources. So the internet is great now because everyone has a phone and everyone becomes a reporter.
Yeah.
There was one guy in particular who said 7 minutes before this happened, I pointed out to Secret Service and the police
Hmm.
that there's somebody on a rooftop.
With
I
a
heard
gun.
him say it
Yeah. With a
with a
rifle.
gun.
Yeah.
Then, as you know, I'm combing through more things. It's a guy who said he was directly behind Trump, who, when the shots rang out,
Hmm.
and he said the guy standing right next to him got shot, but he said he got shot in the back of his head.
Mm.
Now, how the hell is this possible?
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? And it
Yeah.
was, then he said we would duck down and we were led to a shed behind the bleachers. So, Malcolm, we are taught in every neighborhood around the world, when shots are fired, we all get the hell up out of there. We all duck.
Yeah.
We all run for cover. We don't sit around to wait to find out where the shots are coming from,
Yeah.
ever. And if you watch the body language, remember 85% of communication is nonverbal. Watch the body language of the people in the stands. That's weird. For no one to really, a few people to kind of duck down,
Yeah.
or that's just weird. We don't do that in the hood. We
Yeah.
get down and we get out of there. One lady's even, you see her still filming with her camera. Now, before the shots rang out, as one of our, Patreons on UX90 mentioned, and I also noticed there was a lady holding a sign that said, "Fire him," or "He's fired,"
Yeah.
or something like that with the word "fire." And right after that sign went up, watch it for yourself. So who's to say that that wasn't some kind of cue
Mm.
to fire off these shots? Now, I want to look at a couple of scenarios. Could Trump have been behind this himself? Could have.
Okay.
Or were the people in his mix allowing this to happen for some specific reason to take him out? It could be either scenario.
Yeah.
You follow? Somebody had to have dropped the ball. This is where Steve Coakley comes in, because he would need to know the name of each and every one of those Secret Service men, how long they've been the whole 9 yards, because this is not adding up.
Yeah.
Ever since JFK, whose son, coincidentally enough, died in a plane crash, I think tomorrow,
Oh wow.
or you know what I'm saying, on his 39th birthday. Why is that critical? Is because on his 40th birthday, he would have been eligible to
Mm.
run for president in this country, and no one would have been able to beat him.
Mm.
So I don't know if there's any connection there. I'm just simply saying, ever since that happened, the level of detail, especially in wide open spaces,
Yeah.
is always looked at with a fine tooth comb. With even the Ronald Reagan situation, somebody was able, for some reason, to get close enough to fire a shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Somebody, tussling through the crowd, and even I don't even know what that was really all about. You know what I mean? So it's just some things that, if you put on your investigative glasses and start piecing times together, distances together, what people who are not on mainstream media are talking about, you will begin to see that something went awry here, and it's going to have political ramifications one way or another in this country.
Yeah, I saw a report that came out like I want to say 10 minutes before we got on that said that a police officer did confront the shooter before it happened. But when like climbed up on a ladder and confronted the shooter pointed his gun at him, and I think the cop retreated. And I think in that span, he let off those shots at Trump. That's what they're saying.
Okay, so let me get this right. You have a police officer confronting you. You wave your joint at the police officer. The police officer doesn't fire his weapon because this is obviously a threat. Then you shake him off, get into the scope, line the scope up, and fire off shots that are so almost accurate that they clip the president. Does that make sense,
No,
Malcolm?
it does not. No, it does not. I'm just telling you what I
Because
read,
as
man.
a police officer, if I'm here to protect, even though I'm not, I'm still here to protect the president.
Yeah.
If I see you climb up a ladder, I wouldn't care who you were. I'm going to tell you to freeze or clap you
Yeah.
immediately, and I'm going to be looked at as a hero
This is
for
true.
stopping the potential threat to the president. As a matter of fact, he would want to meet me personally after you did such a great job,
Yeah.
new police officers. This is why we need our police officers. All of this would have been in play. But no, he fights off a police officer, still goes up the ladder or stays up on the ladder, and is able, without thinking about the police officer clapping him in the back of the head, look into his scope and fire off. See, Malcolm, I will never abandon my common sense.
Absolutely.
That makes no sense at all.
Yeah, it's yeah,
And who
yeah.
is what's the name of this perpetrator? Anybody know?
They got his name. They got his name.
It's
Hold
three
on.
names. Is it correct? He's got three
Yeah,
names.
absolutely, it's three names.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah. Michael something something. Three names.
yeah,
The
it
last I
is.
checked.
His name is Thomas Matthew Crooks.
All right. Thomas Matt. Of course, he has three names because and then they clap him. So
Hmm.
now there is no interrogation. There is no, reasoning why. There is no any of that. It's clean. And like you said, if you go against it, because there were engineers during 9/11,
Hmm.
architects who
Yeah,
said, all right, that's humanly impossible.
yeah,
For this building, the way it's designed, to have jet fuel break down the building in a matter of minutes, seep all the way down, and have the building collapse, and then have the vibrations of those buildings to make building number 7,
yeah,
which was not hit,
yeah.
to go down.
Yep.
However, if you were a smart architect or engineer, you mind your business. You didn't say nothing because
Yeah.
you just was like, wait a minute.
Yep.
I've been doing this my whole life. That doesn't make any sense. And so they would, if you came on public TV and said that, they probably never heard from you again.
Hmm.
You follow? And so, but this social media has advantages and disadvantages. Now they have the data to know what their next plan is instantly. They don't have to wait for 6 months to get data to find out how many people took to the programming. It's instant. Look at all the memes. Look
Yeah.
at all the people just coming out saying this is impossible.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. So all of that stuff puts them at a disadvantage in that sense,
Yep.
but an advantage of how quick they can pivot to who they're going to blame or how they're going to try to shift your consciousness
Hmm.
or your energy, mhm,
Yep.
into something that absolves them of any wrongdoing.
Yeah, and apparently, there was some Epstein files that came out against Trump recently as well. So those are obviously going to go missing as a result of this bigger story now, right?
Right, right.
So
And that's something they do all the time. Eat too.
yeah,
They bury one story with an even bigger story.
yeah,
You know
and
what I'm
yo,
saying?
and I was me and Avery was talking about this yesterday. It's crazy. Our generation has seen so much that we probably never thought we'd see in our lifetimes, right? Like a president about to get clapped, like in 2024, like what, or a global pandemic that shut the world down, or you know what I mean, like just stuff like
Yes.
that. So that this is just another one of those instances.
And it started for you guys as kids in 2001.
2001, yeah, that yeah, we was in third grade when that happened. Yeah,
Right, right. When that happened, so
well, I was.
cap all of that into what's happened in the last 25 years, or the last 20 or so years. If you've seen more things than a lot of people have seen in a lifetime.
Yeah, yeah. So where do you think this goes now? Because some people are chalking it up and said Trump won. That's it. It's over. What do you think?
I think we're just beginning. The move is on the Democrats now.
Yeah,
How will
yeah,
they counter a
yeah.
move of this magnitude? How will it be carefully planned out, and so that they're not overlooking what has potentially happened? What protection does this bring out for Biden, or should they now say? And then another thing. Let's just put the icing on the cake. If you got shot in your ear, Malcolm, I wouldn't care what office you was running from. You're not going to stop and give the
Oh yeah,
fist,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? So
Absolutely.
that's no way, no how,
Yeah,
under
absolutely.
any circumstance, no way the Secret Service is going to allow you,
That too.
because you're still in range. What if there's
Yeah.
a second or third shooter? You're still in danger, right?
Mm-hmm.
All propaganda, all a part of a system.
Absolutely.
So it's on the Democrats now. Let's see where they go, because 6 of the 7 presidents who have been assassinated or attempts on them have all been Republican, except one, and I think that was JFK. The rest of
Oh,
them are all Republicans,
okay. I didn't know that. So I think,
including Lincoln.
yeah. So
Remember,
I
Lincoln
actually
was a
think
Republican.
he was a Republican. Yeah, I actually think, like I just said, it's on the Democrats now. But what I actually see happening is they can't do the same thing, obviously, right? Because
Right,
security is going to be at an all time high. So he might go in his sleep or something. Yeah, it might be something to where, because this is what I said. I said the reason why I thought I always felt like the COVID program it never took because nobody died, and not nobody, but I mean
I know
nobody
what you mean, of
of
significance. Yes,
significance of influence. Like nothing happened to any celebrity that we really know and care about. Like nobody, like nothing happened, right? So everybody at the end of the day, you could have been scared, and I know a cousin, a third cousin, an uncle, something like that, that maybe had passed him. So I'm not taking that away. But I mean, like LeBron didn't pass out on the court from COVID complications, and that everybody would have got a shot. Everybody would have,
right,
right?
right,
So something has to happen here where it where the complete emotional tides have to turn for them to make any kind of for them to gain any kind of leverage. Because if you look at what's happening on the timeline now Republicans are holding their chests out and going, see these terrible radical Democrats. Oh my God, thank God, Trump. You know what I mean? It's a lot of that, and it's only because they kind of have the upper hand now because something happened to them. So
right.
they easily are able to point fingers at the other side.
They're
So
the victims now.
yes, and there's power and there's money in victimhood. So
Oh, big power, big money.
something has to happen to kind of shift that narrative. I don't know how. I'm just saying something's gonna
Okay.
happen.
Well, the shit show has just started.
Oh yeah, this
So
was
now
it's early.
we will sit back and we will watch each move as it is played out. And we will be on it, and we will be doing our popcasts and podcasts to just give you our humble opinions
That's it.
on what it is that we see.
That is it. All right.
You know?
So, guys, with that being said, this is Urban X TV. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter and all that good stuff. And we will see you guys tomorrow. All right.
Tomorrow, podcast. We got Brother
Podcast.
Rich on the show. Yep.
Absolutely. Peace.
Peace.